Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Betancourt, and I'm the CEO of Community First Fund, and we're CDFI based in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is about 60 miles west of here in the central part of the state. Obviously, it's a great pleasure for Community First Fund to be a co-host this year, and I'm happy to introduce Mark Pinsky today. He's been a good friend to me personally and also to the Community First Fund. But let me first acknowledge our colleagues which are here today. We have a staff of 13 members here. And while Donna Fabiani tells me it's not a record for this year's conference, it's certainly a record for us. Thank you. Let me just tell you a little bit about Community First Fund. We recently celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, and it was great to have Bill Bynum as our keynote speaker. Our founders were modest, men and women of color, and men and women of conviction. They challenged racism and injustice in our communities. Their vision allows us to become an important financial resource for our communities, which still exist this many years later. This is my 15th OFN conference this year, and I can recall many luncheons like this event today, but one in particular stands out that I'd like to share with you. During Mark's speech in 2006, it was titled The Power of Opportunity, and he mentioned Community First Fund as having an innovative model for small cities in Pennsylvania, a model which we still champion today. That was exciting for me and my colleagues, obviously, so I was feeling pretty good at that conference back in 2006. And the next day, as I headed home on the train to Philadelphia, Mark and I found ourselves sitting next to each other. And so we obviously started talking about the industry, which we all love to do. In retrospect, he probably was just as exhausted as I was and wanted to relax. But you know, Mark is a generous person, and he really does pay attention. So I thanked Mark for that shout out during his speech about Community First Fund. I started to tell him about the plans for growth that we had. And I expected Mark to pat me on the back and say, Dan, that's great, you're doing a great job. Instead, he said, you have a great organization, but you're not doing enough, Dan. You know, Mark, I was a little shocked, taken aback. We had steadily grown for about 5 years, and back in 2006, we had assets of about $5 million. I told him we had planned to double our size in the next 5 years. Mark went on to say, I don't know how you're going to do that if you keep doing the same thing. He said, leaders of growth organizations know what risks to take and when to take them. Well, that was a surprise to me, and frankly, I didn't know how to react. After I got back to the office, I started thinking about what Mark was saying. I realized that he was really coaching me and trying to give me advice to grow the organization. So Mark, I'm not sure where you're at. I think you moved on me. But I'm going to use a musical reference because we all know Mark loves music. My view today about his advice is like the song from the Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. It's been 7 years, Mark, and Community First Fund now has $40 million in assets under management. So I guess we took his advice to heart. Mark challenges us as individual leaders, but he knows we have to create our own roadmap for success for each organization. He challenges us because he believes in us, and he believes in our collective vision to align capital with justice. I'm pleased to introduce you today, Mark. After hearing your speech, I know we're going to all walk away inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mark Pinsky, CEO of OFN. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for that warm welcome, and thank you for coming to Philadelphia, which you have heard before and you will hear again is the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence. I will tell you it's birthplace to both versions of the U.S. Constitution, and it's home to Opportunity Finance Network. I would also tell you, as we worry about what's going on in Washington, that when the Congress was based in Philadelphia, the approval ratings were 100%. But there's something behind that, because those were the Continental Congresses. They weren't the U.S. Congresses yet. So you can make whatever you want out of that. Thank you, Dan, for a really generous introduction. As an OFN member and as a regional co-host representing all of our co-hosts here today, you're particularly important to me. This is not a typical membership organization because CDFIs are not typical members. CDFIs hold themselves and OFN accountable to the highest standards. And as Dan was suggesting over the years, Dan and I have, well, he wasn't suggesting, he was saying, over the years, Dan and I have challenged each other repeatedly, always with respect, always with honesty, and always in the spirit of our shared commitment to excellence and to justice. I believe I do my job better because of you, Dan, and that's true for all of our members who make OFN stronger and as the home for many CDFIs with one purpose, more effective. Please take a moment to help me thank our conference co-hosts again today for their commitment, their hard work, and the ideas that make this event special. And you saw the list, but we have 42 generous conference sponsors this year, which is a record number for us, and we're thrilled about it. The breadth, thank you. The breadth and depth of our sponsorships, in my mind, reflect the increasingly important role that CDFIs play for a growing number of industries and institutions. Our sponsors make this event, this conference, affordable, and they contribute their ideas and their talent to the program to make it better. So we're grateful to all of you. Thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you, Dan Latendra, for your insightful comments earlier. Everyone here appreciates you, your team, and the senior leadership of Bank of America for stepping up as the lead sponsor of the OFN conference for the 7th year in a row. And by the way, everyone in the CDFI industry knows that Dan is a world-class leader among CDFIs, but did you know that Dan is also a world-class athlete? If I asked everyone here which of you rode in the 2013 Tour de France, I am pretty sure that only one hand would go up. It's true. I've seen the proof. In fact, if I asked how many of you ever rode in the Tour de France, I bet I would still get only Dan. Is it true, Dan? I have to ask you about this rumor. Is it true that next year you will be in Rio de Janeiro playing in the World Cup on the Italian side? Dan is not the only one who got some exercise this year. Some of you may remember 9 years ago in Chicago when I told you how my doctor looked up from his body mass index calculations to tell me that I was obese. He warned me that I had to change because if I continued to grow, I would die sooner than I had to. I am glad to be healthier than I used to be and grateful to many people who helped me get here. And because we are in Philly, I have the chance to thank two of them personally. For the past 9 or 10 years, I have been working out on Sunday mornings with two very important friends, Steve Pastor and Stephen Perloff, my personal Grow, Change, or Die team. Steve Pastor has a full gym in his basement, free weights, elliptical machines, bikes, weight machines. We call it Pastor's House of Pain, and here's why. The first time I went to Pastor's, Steve kindly coached me through a very gentle workout. The next week, I foolishly tried to be tough. I lifted significantly heavier weights and did tougher aerobics, knowing full well that I would be sore on Monday morning. But who knew so much pain could happen so fast? By the time I walked down Steve's driveway that Sunday morning, I could not extend my arms to reach the steering wheel. I had to lean forward to latch onto the steering wheel, and I drove home hoping I would not have to make any quick moves. I could not have done it without Steve Pastor and Stephen Perloff. Thank you, guys. I would be a bigger man without you. I'm going to need everyone's help now for one final set of thanks. I never feel like I say a sufficient thank you to the OFN staff each year, to Donna Fabiani, who organizes and constructs the OFN conference, and to Lena Page, who markets and produces it until it shines, and to their incredible teams, because everyone at OFN works together to make the OFN conference the best possible conference experience for you. No one does it better than they do. Can you help me say thank you to the incredibly talented and dedicated OFN staff? My first inkling of what I'm going to talk about today came while I was listening to an informal round of reports from OFN members at our Western Regional meeting in Denver earlier this year. One person after another mentioned things out of the ordinary, a new investor they had not expected, a longtime investor who dropped out, a new type of loan, a surprising inquiry, an unsolicited policy opportunity, a different kind of risk. And I heard the same thing in New Orleans at another regional meeting. And in Washington, D.C. in May, when the OFN board and some of you went up to Capitol Hill for OFN's annual Advocacy Day, something similar happened. We all came away with a slightly disoriented feeling. Members of Congress who used to outright oppose us now seemed interested. Then others who used to give us blank stares now talked warmly about CDFIs. Something is going on. The things we thought we knew seem less certain, and other things we never thought possible now seem to be within reach. What I realized in Denver is that we are going through a disruptive, transformative period, not so different from what we called Grow, Change, or Die a decade ago. Only now the stakes are much higher, the opportunities much bigger, and the risks much greater. This sequel is called Grow, Change, or Die Harder. Some of you remember the graphic OFN used in 2003 to explain the idea of disruptive transformative change. Adina Abramowitz developed it when she ran OFN's consulting business. The straight lines represent evolutionary change, and the squiggles represent revolutionary change, turbulent, disruptive transitions. Of all the people I know, only Adina can convincingly portray a revolution in a squiggle, and I envy her. But like a decade ago, we are seeing the signs of a tectonic shift for CDFIs. Many things feel off. Everything seems to be in flux, and much of what used to work no longer does. 1 year from now, when we meet in Denver at OFN's 30th anniversary conference, we'll be asking, what just happened? But I'm not a patient person, so I'm going to try to tell you today what I think is happening. We are learning to work as CDFIs in a post-CDFI world, not so different from how our nation's founders charted a revolutionary course in a post-colonial world. Now, I do not mean that CDFIs are outdated, that our time is over, or that someone is coming to take your place. I mean the opposite. CDFIs have an increasingly important role to play in our nation's social, economic, and political life. CDFIs have surpassed their own sense of self and the expectations of just about everyone else. CDFIs today are relevant, important institutions in our nation's economy, in federal, state, and local policy, and in the civic fabric of American society. In scale, we may still be fleas on the tail of a dog, but we are wagging the tail, if not yet the dog. Think about just a few examples. The Reinvestment Fund's healthy food strategy inspired and informs a large-scale national movement. CDFIs are prepping to play a material role in the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. Community development credit unions and community development banks are economic lifelines as mainstream banks reposition themselves in low-income and low-wealth markets. Boston Community Capital's foreclosure relief program proved something everyone said could not be done, keeping people in their homes after foreclosures while preserving neighborhoods. I believe we will be more relevant and more important still as long as we don't screw up. Our greatest risk in the post-CDFI world, the way we are most likely to fail if we fail, would be to slip down the slope of mission creep, joining the long parade of good people with good intentions who equate more with mission and confuse promises with positive results for low income, low wealth, and other disadvantaged people and communities. As important as mission-related investing, impact investing, and other investor-centric approaches are in many areas, what distinguishes you from them is the core purpose of aligning capital with justice. It makes you focus harder, reach further, innovate more, and think differently. The world we live and work in is more comfortable aligning justice with capital, putting wealth before equity. It's a trickle-down world that doesn't trickle. The steadily widening wealth and income gaps reflect that. The complacent acceptance of egregious racial and ethnic poverty rates prove it. Two simple facts: that 20 million Americans live in extreme, deep poverty, and that more than 20% of kids in this country grow up in poverty should be a deafening cry for structural and systemic change, a revolution in policy and practices. And you know, Philadelphia is a good place to declare a revolution. So let's declare an opportunity revolution here based on our core purpose of aligning capital with justice, our core values of justice and excellence, and our vision of a world where all people have the resources and the opportunity to act in the best interest of their communities, themselves, and future generations. If you go to work every day to bend the long arc of the moral universe toward justice, you are in the right place today. Because we came to Philadelphia believing that we are a nation where justice for all begins with opportunity for all. You belong here. We feel more powerful together, more sure of our decisions, more confident that we are leading to more consequential changes than we otherwise allow ourselves to imagine, or that each of us can achieve alone. We look at what we have done and endured in the last year and in the last 5 years. We take stock and we set our course. During the Great Recession, the financial services industry fell in on itself. Federal policymakers tied themselves into a Gordian knot, and economies worldwide imploded. But you stood tall, doing what you do best, making capital flow responsibly and affordably in distressed conditions, offering responsible, affordable financial products and services to low-income, low-wealth, and other disadvantaged people. CDFIs have transformed themselves from fringe actors to material players affecting mainstream thought and action. You exert a gravitational pull now on the world that we live and work in. We are making the nation and the economy stronger, one opportunity at a time. CDFIs no longer are at a point of inflection. We have inflected. 10 years ago, we challenged ourselves to grow, change, or die. Today, our opportunities outweigh our challenges, and our challenges are more internal self-constraints than external impediments. Resources are limited, peer organizations are struggling, and civic leaders are grasping for salvations. At home, in your communities, you experience the severe wake of the recession, offset by the countervailing lift of resilience from people whose jobs are gone, whose homes are lost, and whose opportunities are constrained, but who never give up. So you keep on, one opportunity, one transaction at a time. We are rowing against the mainstream currents of our nation, but you keep rowing because the power of our movement to create our transformational change is greatest when we all row together. It is what happens when we all find ways to work as one, many CDFIs with one purpose. It is our determination to help transform the structures and systems, the laws and behavior that keep poor people poor and rich people rich. It's a quiet revolution, this opportunity revolution, but I believe it is unstoppable because we are an industry and a movement and a revolution founded on a principle that is deeply American. You can't touch opportunity. You can't feel it, see it, hear it, or smell it. It's not an asset or a liability, not net worth or goodwill. It isn't revenue or expense. You can't buy it or sell it. You certainly can't give it away, but you know what it is. Opportunity is the keystone of our nation, our way of life, our economy, and our worldview. It joins together the core purpose of our Declaration of Independence, the core values of our Constitution, and the vision the Gettysburg Address promises that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Our national belief in opportunity as a right, makes the United States unique in all world events. And it makes the work you do, opportunity investing, profoundly important. Because in these United States, we have strayed far from the principle of equal opportunity. In the economy, where expanding income and wealth differentials have made 1% and 99% a structural rather than an incidental divide. In policies and politics, where corporations are people and money talks louder than sense. In housing, where costs constrain mobility and the legacy of predatory lending will ripple forward through generations of African American, Latino, and single-parent families. In public and private investments, where fiscal policy is hurting our schools and our infrastructure, and private capital is exacerbating economic and social inequities along racial lines, even in places like San Francisco. And of course, in lending, where the credit freeze of the last 5 years is receding at a glacial pace from low income, low wealth, and other disadvantaged markets. I have never felt more certain that the questions we are asking, the cause we are pressing, the reason we go to work in the morning, aligning capital with justice, goes to the heart of what ails and what can heal our world. That is why we work every day to shape the world around us to be more just, to be more fair, and not just to allow opportunity, but to ensure opportunity for all. In Albuquerque in 2008, Good to Great author Jim Collins challenged us to lead a revolution in the financial sector. He told us how to do it. Do you remember? He was describing how a small, ugly duckling of a commuter airline called Southwest transformed the airlines industry over a 30-year period. The most important lesson of Southwest's rise, Collins explained, is that it was as disciplined in good times as it was in bad times. It was humble, it faced the facts with brutal honesty, but always believed that it would prevail. And Collins challenged CDFIs to be the Southwest of the financial services industry, to maintain our discipline, our humility, our brutal honesty, and our belief, our conviction that we will prevail. He called on you to lead an opportunity revolution from the inside out, to transform the financial services industry, the laws and policies that enable it, and the practices and patterns that sustain it. The goal of this revolution is simple: to make responsible and affordable financial products and services available to all low-income, low-wealth, and other disadvantaged people and communities. It is not a radical goal. It is an American goal. It's deeply American. And only CDFIs can lead this revolution. We think and we act differently. We are united in our belief in aligning capital with justice, and we believe that justice for all begins with opportunity for all. Many CDFIs, one purpose, and the revolutionary force is you. You are driving OFN's strategy. It reflects what we learned from you, and we execute it with you. Our strategy sets some clear goals. OFN's primary responsibilities are in the first three goals: to expand the CDFI industry's share of distressed and underserved communities and markets. We call this our coverage goal. To increase the industry's ability to shape the operating environment that CDFIs and their customers work and live in. This is about influence. And third, to sustain and improve CDFI impact, portfolio, and operating results. This means supporting CDFI performance. These three goals are the outcomes OFN and its member CDFIs must achieve by 2025 to consider our strategy a success. They rest on OFN's work to create and help foster a robust operating environment for CDFIs. And to do that, OFN works in three ways: to make capital and talent available to CDFIs, to help them make the best possible use of their resources, and this is OFN's focus on capacity. To extend CDFI roles in federal policies and programs, our policy goal. And third, to build broad public support and understanding for CDFIs. This is about brand. These six goals matter only to the extent that they reflect OFN's defining relationship with our membership, and we are building a diverse and skilled membership of all CDFI types. The OFN membership must have the experience, the products, and the services to provide responsible, affordable financial products and services for all low-income, low-wealth, and disadvantaged people. And OFN's ability to lead rests on its members. Leadership means OFN must earn and retain the active backing of CDFIs, but also our community partners,
mainstream financial institutions, and key government officials. So I am asking you today to join with OFN, to learn how your work and your actions are helping us all align capital with justice, and to lead within OFN and in your communities. This conference is one of the ways OFN strives to support you as leaders, and to that end, OFN went about consciously this year to identify the top 10 things we think you need to know about this conference. Anybody want to guess? Let me count them down for you. Number 10. What is the point of doing anything anymore if you don't have an app? So for the first time this year, we have our very own conference app. Number 9, we all see the need to bring more young professionals into the field. This year, we welcome 5 students from the Opportunity Finance Program, a pilot program OFN is piloting with the Stern School at New York University. And the number 8 thing you need to know is that which you already know, is that your learning needs are more diverse than ever. We have changed the curriculum in significant ways to give you more options at this conference. And number 7, more and more of you want to contribute to OFN's policy work. And so for the first time ever, we have an OFN policy booth in the lobby where you can learn, join, and lead on policy. Number 6, OFN conferences are always all about the people, and there's never enough time. So take advantage of the many new networking opportunities and locations that we built into this conference. And number 5, as long as everyone is together, why not schedule a meeting? This conference is home to at least 29 private business meetings that we're aware of, a record number, and we know that number's only going to grow. Number 4, not everyone wants to learn from a panel discussion. That's why we're introducing the CDFI Clinic that Donna talked about earlier. It's a new learning format that allows CDFIs to meet with experts for targeted counseling. This year we have 8 sessions, and judging by demand, you will see more CDFI clinics in the future. Number 3, 13 of your peers bravely are seeking election to the OFN board because we have just 5 available seats. The OFN membership is more engaged than ever, so OFN significantly beefed up our outreach this year, seeking candidates. We put more emphasis on demographic and geographic diversity. We created an election central web space for each of the 13 candidates and posted videos there of each candidate explaining why they want to serve. Those videos are available for your viewing on the 4th floor. I urge you to check them out and respect these 13 brave candidates, but also come to the meeting tomorrow during OFN Connect to show your support for their courage. Number 2, OFN comes into this meeting with a lot of exciting news and information that we're eager to share with you. And we needed a place to do it. So we created OFN Connect, a special meeting that is open to everyone, not just members. At OFN Connect tomorrow morning, you can find out about OFN's new digital footprint, including the powerful video we premiered this morning and that we will show you again tomorrow. You can see the official rollout of OFN's bold, pioneering new website. And you can join a growing number of your peers on OFN's new coverage map, a critical tool in OFN's strategy. And there's more. At OFN Connect, we will announce an exciting new program that you've been asking about for years. Please join us at 8:30 tomorrow morning as we unveil the City Leadership Program for Opportunity Finance, an innovative program by CDFIs for CDFIs. It amps up CDFI leadership development in unprecedented ways. Come to the meeting because you want to make sure you're ready when the application process opens next week. And finally, you've been waiting for it. The number 1 innovation at the 2013 OFN conference is Ben Franklin. Maybe you met him last night at the reception, and I'm sure you know that Ben established the first hospital in the United States, the first American university, the first free library, discovered electricity, and signed the Declaration of Independence. Not bad. But did you know that he was also the world's first microfinancier? It's true. But even that's not all. Tonight, in this room, we will honor the 2013 Wells Fargo Next awardees, your peers doing remarkable things. And we will honor 4 CDFIs. First, we will honor Freedom First Federal Credit Union, which is the recipient of this year's Next Seed Capital Award. Then we will honor the 3 recipients of the Next Opportunity Awards: Opportunity Fund, Housing Partnership Network, and NCB Capital Impact. Please join us tonight as we celebrate the CDFI industry. And tomorrow at lunch, I hope you'll be here because the OFN Board of Directors will very proudly present this year's Ned Gramlich Achievement Award for Responsible Finance, our industry's highest individual recognition, to Ron Phillips, President and CEO of Coastal Enterprises. We have one more surprise for you at lunch tomorrow. Tomorrow, Goldman Sachs will be here to unveil the exciting next phase of 10,000 small businesses, which OFN is really proud to be a part of. I'm sure you will want to be here for that and hear what the program specifics are. Now, OFN asks a lot of you while you're here, and I have a few things I want to ask you to carry forward over the coming year. Let me tell you 4 things OFN needs you to do to support the opportunity revolution. First, the opportunity finance industry needs you on advocacy, and you know you need the industry. CDFIs today have significant policy leverage, and we are in good position to use it. Now we need to stand up and we need to deliver. I am asking you all to join us in Washington, D.C. on May 21st, 2014 for OFN's CDFI Advocacy Day. Together, we will make ourselves heard, one CDFI at a time. That is how we have come this far, and that is how we will go further. Many CDFIs, one purpose. Last year, our Advocacy Day produced almost 100 congressional and executive branch visits by 23 OFN board members and OFN members. And we asked them to sit together today down front so they can relive the good times and so that you can say thank you to them. So please, let's do that. If you can stand up for us, that'd be great. All our advocates, please. I believe that we can more than double the number of visits in 2014 if we can double the number of you who participate. So are you in? It's good. Did you write down the date? Because I'll wait for you to write down the date. It's Wednesday, May 21st, 2014. You got it? And you can always find out more at the OFN policy booth. So be a CDFI leader. Learn how much impact you can have on policy. Second, OFN needs your ideas, your experience, and your voice to develop new capital strategies that meet the needs of all CDFIs. We started the conversation this morning. You know, when OFN conceived of the CDFI Bond Guarantee Program, we did have high hopes that it would work for all CDFIs and all CDFI asset classes. And we are pleased by how far we have come, but we underestimated the complications of federal credit programs. I see the CDFI bond program today much as history views the United States' first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation worked okay, but it needed to work better. And the Articles of Confederation actually spurred a national debate that produced the Federalist Papers and ultimately the greatest governing document ever, the U.S. Constitution. So by all means, let's don't lose our momentum on capitalization now. OFN intends to advance that conversation for all CDFIs, and obviously we cannot do it without you. For the next year at least, OFN will convene an industry-wide effort to generate, explore, develop, and discuss a set of outside-the-box capital strategies for all CDFIs. And to kick it off, OFN will convene a special forum on CDFI capital strategies in early 2014 in Washington, D.C., and I want to invite you to participate. Please watch your inbox for an invitation. Please join the discussion, because capitalization is changing fast. We need you to join us. We need you to learn from your peers, and we need you to lead the way. Third, as I mentioned earlier, OFN is rolling out a fresh, bold new expression of the Opportunity Finance brand, and with it, a set of tools that we need you to use to reach your audiences and beyond. This brand is not about OFN. It's about you. It's about opportunity finance. The video we previewed this morning goes beyond the Opportunity Multiplied video that so many of you already use. This new video declares our values as an industry and speaks to a mass market audience. Tomorrow morning at OFN Connect, we will tell you how we think you can use it to connect with investors, with funders, with community allies, with policymakers, and maybe, if it's really good, with your family. Also at OFN Connect, we will give you an inside look at the new Opportunity Finance brand experience by revealing OFN's totally rethought website, ofn.org. We believe it is going to help make CDFIs and Opportunity Finance accessible to everyone, because everyone can learn, join, or lead. My ask of you today is that you leverage the tools we are providing, as well as your own communications capacity, to steadily reach a broader and broader audience, because in a post-CDFI world, we need broad public support. You and your customers are the best voices for our industry, and we all learn from Create Jobs for USA that there is a world of people out there who want to be part of what you do. Now, there is one more element of OFN's digital footprint that cannot wait for OFN Connect tomorrow, and honestly, I can't wait to tell you about it. If you have a smartphone or a tablet, I want you to take it out right now. Got them? The CDFI industry is a $40+ billion industry with no single source for news and information until now. Let me introduce you to CDFI Connect, OFN's new handheld news and information hub by CDFIs for CDFIs. Have you ever wished there was a convenient, simple way to track who is doing what new opportunities are opening up, and who is changing jobs? A trade media, if you will, for CDFIs. You can open your mobile browser, if you can. And you can type in www.cdficonnect.org. Or you can click on the link that you should have just received from the conference app. When you do that, I love how many people have phones. What a surprise. When you do that, you just joined the Opportunity Revolutions Information Collective, news and information by CDFIs for CDFIs. CDFI Connect will connect you to everything you need to know about the CDFI world in real time. It's free. It's all about you, your colleagues, and the work you do. And it is available in the palm of your hand whenever you need it, wherever you need it. CDFI Connect will aggregate your news, your Twitter feeds, and long-form news items from multiple sources, and it will be the single source you have always wondered why you did not have. And you can learn how to make the most of it tomorrow morning, where? At OFN Connect. All right, now comes the hardest part of my speech. I need to ask you to put away your phones and your tablets. You will, I hope, be using CDFI Connect for years to come, and I need your attention a little while longer. Because my fourth and final call to action today is the most important. It addresses our greatest challenge and our greatest risk. Most businesses, organizations, and movements that fail die from indigestion, not starvation. Pogo, the famous cartoon character, said, "We have met the enemy and they is us." We will not succeed without strategic alignment across the CDFI industry. Our post-CDFI worldview now takes in more options, more possibilities, and more distractions. And to be honest, I see and hear a lot of distracted CDFIs anymore. Good strategy knows what should never change and what must change to drive progress. That is why OFN has a core purpose, core values, and a vision, all of which will not change. They make up our North Star, which reorients us when we veer off course. We, as an industry, are going through generational transformations, expanding opportunities, turbulent financial and economic times, uncertain policy twists and turns, and disruptive changes of our own making. In this turbulent, revolutionary time, we need to hold ourselves accountable to each other more firmly than ever before
to prevent indigestion in our financial performance and our mission focus. So my final call to action today is this: be brutally honest with yourself, with your investors, with your peers, and with OFN about what we are doing, and more important, why we are doing it. How many of you start each day feeling grateful that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward impact? CDFIs bend the arc toward justice. CDFIs benefit low income, low wealth, and other disadvantaged people and communities. CDFIs align capital with justice and let others align justice with capital. I grew up about 20 miles from here in Levittown, Pennsylvania, in an area a new book describes now as a place where you do not want to be and where you'd leave if you hit the lottery. Drama High tells a story that you know. The story of people who succeed time and time again, year after year, despite a prevailing culture of failure and economic forces that work against them. At Drama High, Harry Truman High School, those people are students who produce serious high school theater better than every other high school in the nation. The Broadway producers of Les Miserables, Rent, and Spring Awakening turned to Truman when they wanted to adapt high school productions of their shows. Now, this is a high school where not too many years ago, the class president, a good kid who's gone on to do good things, could not attend his own high school graduation because there was a gang hit out on him. Drama High is Friday Night Lights meets Glee. And it was written by a good high school friend of mine who is here with us today. Please welcome Mike Sokolov. Mike is going to be outside this afternoon signing copies of the book. I saw the display, it's there. And I promised him, so don't let me down, I promised him that the story I'm about to tell, the story of perhaps the most formative moment in my life, would make all of you buy a copy of Drama High. The book's full title is Drama High, the incredible true story of a brilliant teacher, a struggling town, and the magic of theater. Above all, Drama High is a loving tribute to a brilliant teacher named Lou Volpe, who is as good a teacher as any student anywhere ever had. Lou is the reason 40-plus years of mostly low-income students produce theater as good as any high school in the world. But more important, Lou taught his students to learn about themselves and to trust what they found, no matter what, to be brutally honest about the facts before them, and to find it in themselves to prevail. Now, Lou was the only person on earth, I assure you, who could have made me think it was a good idea to dress up as a baby in a pale blue gingham onesie with matching tights and an adorable bonnet in a one-act play at drama competition after competition. Lou is the one adult I turned to when I had no one to turn to. He was the one everyone turned to when they had no one to turn to, and he always had time for all of us. In Drama High, Mike explains that a single offhand comment from Lou made him want to be a writer. Lou's gift, Mike explains, is that, quote, he bestowed praise based on a particular thing a student had written, said, or acted on stage, and it resonated for life. Lou's words were not just something a student liked hearing, Mike writes. He or she needed to hear them at that moment. They went right to a place that no other teacher and no parent had touched. In the spring of my junior year in 1974, Lou assigned a short paper. I don't remember the topic, but I remember really well thinking about the quickest way to produce something that was good enough to make Lou think I had tried. I told myself I didn't really need to always try my hardest because I could excel if I really needed to. And Lou's response to my paper was brilliant. Lou handed back all the other kids' assignments, but not mine. I told myself maybe he really liked mine, right? And he was holding on to it a little longer. No paper the next day or the day after. My anxiety grew and grew. I knew I had to face him. Yes, he asked innocently. I never got my paper back. Do you have it? And he pulled it from his stack and handed it to me. No grade. And I stared at the page, and then I stared at Lou, and he quietly left the room. I studied the heavy green block letters that filled the page from bottom left to top right. One word. The ballpoint ink was etched into the paper, just one angry stroke short of tearing through. And the word that filled the moment, transforming me, was not the kind of praise that Mike heard. The word was bullshit. And it went right to a place that no other teacher and no parent had ever touched. Joan Didion, the writer, says that sooner or later everyone has to lie down in that most uncomfortable bed, the one you make yourself. The next day, I approached Lou in pain and fear and embarrassment. Yes, he asked. Lou, I pleaded, can I try again? Can I? But I had no words. No words. Of course, he said, without accusation or judgment or smile. And I'm not going to tell you that I never underperformed again after high school. There was a 4-year period, some people call it college, when I underperformed with remarkable consistency. But Lou's lesson has resonated for life. I was drawn to our industry, to OFN and its members in particular, because of what Lou taught me that day. That to be true to others, I needed to be accountable and true to myself. Self-deception remains the most difficult deception, Didion writes. I would not have stayed in this industry the past 20 years but for the prevailing absence of bullshit. The brutal honesty coupled with the confidence that we will prevail in our opportunity revolution. I tell you this today because in this post-CDFI world, like it or not, regardless how you see yourself, to a widening circle of people, you are it. People new to the CDFI world today are looking to you. They trust you to lead them, to teach them, and to join them without artifice, deception, or bullshit. They believe you carry the torch of excellence and justice. They test the strength of your convictions, the bonds of your commitment, and the purity of your passion because they rely on your judgment not to cross the wrong line. People outside the field are drawn to you. Media and policymakers look at you with jaded hope. They want to believe that you are for real. They are inclined to trust that you are, but they have been betrayed by false promises too many times. CDFIs will play an important role in what the world will become for our communities, our nation, and future generations. We could not have said that a few years ago. Now we have standing. Now we have influence, and it's growing. Now we have credibility. Now we have respect. We are relevant. We have each other. We have an opportunity movement, and we have a rare chance to bend the arc. It is our opportunity moment. This summer, I had the pleasure of speaking just across the street at the Lowe's Hotel at a National Urban League conference. Prior to my panel, I wandered into a plenary session, and when I sat down, one of the Urban League's corporate sponsors was praising their partnership. But before I knew what was happening, someone introduced the praise singers from the Mother Bethel AME Church, and the room started swaying and stomping. I was swaying and stomping. And the Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler took to the pulpit. It was a hotel podium just like this one, but when the Reverend Tyler put his hands on it, it was a pulpit. And the Reverend Tyler started calling, and the room started responding. He was declaring, and the people were amening. His voice was rising, and the room was lifting up. And I stood there feeling the spirit of the room, self-consciously clapping my hands and tapping my foot, staring at Reverend Kelly while my mind raced from the ridiculous to the sublime. I wish I could do that, I thought with envy. But then I immediately flashed on Robin Williams' explanation why there are no Jewish faith healers. As people call out from their pews, my arm, my hip, my legs, what does a Jewish faith healer say? Your legs, my back. And just as suddenly, I remembered the wisdom of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who teaches that it is not your words that carry your prayers to God's ears, but your passion that lifts them to God's heart. It was not Reverend Tyler raising the roof. It was the people in the room clapping and dancing and swaying and cheering. And as I stand before you, I know that it is you, not me, who hold the power of many CDFIs with one purpose. This is your revolution. So tell me, can I get an amen? Many CDFIs' one purpose comes from E Pluribus Unum, the phrase that our founders chose as the national motto in the days after signing the Declaration of Independence. It is a more elegant expression of our friend Ben Franklin's warning that we must indeed all hang together, or assuredly we shall all hang separately. E Pluribus Unum appears on the Great Seal of the United States, on the presidential seal, on our money, on government documents, and in many, many more places. But E Pluribus Unum is not and never was the official motto of the United States. In the excitement of forming and then running a nation, no Congress ever approved it, and no president ever ordered it. And in fact, in the 1950s, during the McCarthy era, Congress expressly and officially rejected it. Convinced that E Pluribus Unum stood for collectivism, that is, communism, a radical conservative movement convinced Congress to make "In God We Trust" the official motto of the United States. Many CDFIs' one purpose is this conference's theme, in part to remind us that there is no rest in the opportunity revolution. There is no time to ease up. Either you go to sleep each night knowing that you have tried to bend the long arc of the moral universe toward justice, that you are working to align capital with justice, or you don't. And if you don't, then you are bending justice toward capital. Aligning justice with capital has its place, but it's not me. And I believe that it's not you. And I know it is not CDFIs. CDFIs challenge fundamental assumptions about financial markets and about capitalism. CDFIs take on the systems and structures and laws that keep poor people poor and rich people rich. CDFIs play a transformational role in a transactional business. No one CDFI alone is doing that. But CDFIs are doing that. Many CDFIs, one purpose. We go to sleep at night to rest from the work of bending the long moral arc of the universe, and we wake up in the morning full of determination to push further, lend more, advocate harder. We get up knowing that it is 237 years since our nation was conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, and that you might be one day from a lone to an entrepreneur who will make opportunity a reality in her community. We stand up today because we know that it is 150 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, and that we might be 150 days from closing on an affordable housing project that will change the life of a young girl or boy who will grow up to do great things because she had the chance. We rise up today because we have the opportunity to create opportunity. Because Nelson Mandela said, "Equal opportunities is an ideal which I hope to live for and to see realized, but if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that we refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. Because our inalienable rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the opportunity, but not the guarantee, to be fulfilled as people. Because we aspire to become a more perfect union, because Because we have spent 40 years, as many and as one, working to align capital with justice, and because we have come further than anyone expected. Because we came to Philadelphia this week to quench a thirst for knowledge and community, because we came here to learn, to join, and to lead, to be an opportunity movement, because we all believe that all of us together can do what none of us alone can achieve. Because our opportunity movement will leave Philadelphia leading an opportunity revolution. We are standing up because our work does not allow us to accept opportunity only for some. Not just for rich people or white people or male people. Not only for well-educated people, people who were born in the United States, people who inherited money, or heterosexual people, or people who hold political power. No, we are standing up today because we believe that justice for all begins with opportunity for all. Thank you for listening to me today. Have a great conference. Thank you.